live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Council Chamber for the Council meeting of Wednesday, October 22nd. Before we read the land acknowledgement, I just would like to, a couple housekeeping items. Please silence your cell phones when in chamber, please. Also, if you come to give a deputation or speak at any time at the podium, please take time to adjust the microphone so you're speaking directly into the end of it, as this meeting is being live streamed and recorded for YouTube viewership after that. That would be greatly appreciated. Excuse me. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people and ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous people, including the historic Métis community in Penetanguishene. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewa-Rama First Nations, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of shared, sustainable, and a prosperous future. We are a treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can all move forward towards reconciliation. Miigwech. Madam Clerk, may we have a draft motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 be received and adopted as amended to add as item 8B, deputation by Michael Rash, request for a reduction or waiver of interest and penalties incurred with regards to outstanding tax balance. As further to procedural bylaw number 2023-043, section 14.8A, deputation was submitted on time but was subject to an applicable policy review by the CAO and Director of Finance, Chief Financial Officer. So that's just a note.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And also, I just wanted to give David Clark sends his regrets. He won't be able to this meeting today. Could we also have a motion to go past 4 hours if necessary?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that Rule 14.20A, as per the procedural bylaw number 2023-043, be suspended in order to allow the meeting to proceed past the 4-hour adjournment requirement if necessary.
All in favor? That is carried. Is there any pecuniary interest of members of council at this time? Councillor Shell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Item 18B in closed session regarding litigation over short-term rentals. I have to declare as I own and operate a short-term rental.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Any other pecuniary interests? Seeing none. Closed session, which is usually at 4, we've moved to item 18 in the agenda. May we have a draft motion for the 2 sets of minutes, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of council meeting held on Wednesday, October the 8th, 2025, and the minutes of special council meeting held on Wednesday, October the 15th, 2025, be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. We have no recognitions of achievements this week. We have no public meetings this week. So we're on to item 8, deputation presentations. I'd like to welcome to the chamber Chair Jonathan Scott and CAO Jennifer Vincent to speak to the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority 2026 draft budget plan and budget and plan, please. Welcome. I'll call you Chair Scott versus Councillor Scott or whatever. But anyways, thank you for coming, and please proceed when ready.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, members of council. We're pleased to be here to present a balanced budget that responds directly to the needs of our member municipalities. With a new CAO and as a new chair myself, our board set out to ensure this budget underwent a thorough rigorous line-by-line review. I'm pleased to report that 21 of 27 expense line items were either reduced or held flat, with total expenses rising by only a few $1,000s on an overall $7.8 million operating budget, which is a remarkable example of cost containment. We also revisited our Category 3 charges. That review led to a reclassification and a reduction of more than 31% in these discretionary charges, a change made directly in response to concerns raised by this township. It's our hope that these adjustments address any outstanding concerns and would allow Council to transfer the funds levied for Category 3 services with confidence. The outcome is a leaner, more efficient budget, one that protects both taxpayers' money and our environment. With that, I'll turn things over to our new CAO, Jennifer Vincent, to walk you through the details in our presentation.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Council, for this opportunity. Adjusted here a little. There we go. So the Nottawasaga Valley, we are very, very fortunate here to live in an area that is about 40% natural cover and about 42% agricultural in production. However, we still do have a lot of pressures that we're dealing with growth and to try and make sure that we are creating a sustainable communities where people want to live, work, and prosper. And so I also want to acknowledge as part of that the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, like our other conservation authorities, we don't do our work alone. We do this in partnership with many, many organizations, including our member municipalities, the provincial and federal governments, non-governmental organizations, and our communities in general. And they are very, very important to our overall success. And I just wanted to take a chance to acknowledge all of that right off the top. Can I have the next slide, please? So when we look at where Oro-Medonte sits within our watershed, you see yourselves on the extreme northeast of our particular area of interest. The rivers coming through this particular area is mostly Willow Creek. About 99% of Willow Creek comes through here. Matheson Creek, Muskrat Creek, and Mink Creek. And it all joins the main Nottawasaga River as it goes in through Wasaga Beach. So the area here originates with rolling sand loams on the Simcoe uplands near the hamlet of Edgar before flowing into Little Lake. And the whole area is also including for us from a planning and permitting standpoint, a relationship with the Wye River and the Sturgeon River pieces, and the environmental monitoring and advocacy work goes over to the Severn Sound Environmental Association that we work quite closely with as well. Next slide, please. This particular slide here speaks to where our last full year of data, which is 2024, and it speaks to the services that have been delivered by the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation writ large. There are in here about 346 permits and a total inquiry in our land use and planning areas of just shy of 1,200. More specifically, moving to the next slide, you'll see here, these are the details broken out specific to Oro-Medonte. The yellow highlighted areas are those Category 3 services that in 2024 were not funded by Oro-Medonte, and we have not received funding for those same Category 3 services in 2025. But there was interest in understanding what those services were, and as you can see, we've had about $150,000 worth of stewardship work, significant amount of trees planted and forests managed. Where we had contracts and agreements in place, because a lot of this work is multi-year and we set it up early, we continued to honor those relationships and those funding agreements. And even if we didn't have the municipal funds to support that work at the time, they were commitments we made ahead of time and we honored them. Next slide, please. When you take a look at our draft business plan, and I have one small correction to make to my chair, we have an overall slight budget increase, but we actually have an operational budget decrease. And that's actually thanks to some conversations we had at our board meeting, which actually brought us into an operational budget decrease of over $9,000. So we are largely staying flat. The $101,000 municipal levy increase is actually a direct reflection of our anticipated reduction in planning and permitting fees. We are currently experiencing over 30% reduction in this fiscal year. We are told by our build community members and relationships that that particular reality is expected to continue likely through to the end of 2027. So we have appropriately made those changes in our budget projections. So we are projecting a $330,000 reduction in our self-generated revenues due to that particular reality. That is partially offset by increases in our self-generated revenues in other areas of the organization, and the net reality is about a $100,000 increase, which is going towards, we're increasing our levies by that amount. And that works out to be about 2.8% overall year-over-year increase. Next slide, please. So going back to the realities of the no Category 3 support, this, as I said before, we've had 2 years right now with Oro-Medonte choosing not to fund our Category 3 work. We are wrapping up existing commitments and contracts that we have continued to honor for that. As that work cycles through into the next particular group of projects, what does that mean for Oro-Medonte? It does mean that we are reprioritizing staff efforts into areas where we continue to get Category 3 support. We have a lot of interest from our other member municipalities to increase that support and do a lot more work with them, in which we are pursuing. It also means then that where we do have landowner programs for largely in the rural community type of thing, for well decommissioning, cattle exclusion, cattle crossings, marginal land, retirement, etc., where we have cost share agreements and we bring forward federal and provincial funds to help offset those types of arrangements with those landowners. Where we do have that type of arrangement and we have municipal funding for Category 3, we apply that for those landowners as well. And we will have to make sure that in the particular case here, the municipal portion would be charged over to the individual landowner to cover that particular portion if we don't have Category 3. The other piece to this is the supplementary health monitoring work that goes into our Healthy Watersheds report card, which is scheduled to be published in 2029. We do monitoring for water quality, fish, benthos, et cetera, above and beyond our Category 1 work and our source water protection monitoring work. And that particular piece, as it rotates through, we, over the 5 years of monitoring data collected, where we will have deficits in data because we have not had the funds to be able to collect that particular amount of data. As you work through our watershed maps, the reports will identify that it was due to a lack of funds that we were not able to collect that data. There's different reasons why we can't collect data. COVID's a really good example. We have data deficiencies because we weren't allowed to go out due to COVID and collect data and that kind of stuff, where it's a funding deficiency that gets recognized as well. Next slide, please. These speak more to my interests and priorities as the CAO, in that I really do want to continue to work towards creating an agile, responsive, and accountable organization that works hard to support informed land use and watershed management decisions in partnership with our member municipalities, neighboring conservation authorities, and other partners. I'm really, really fortunate to have a very solid staff foundation from which to work on this. And we are working really hard to take advantage of new technologies. We've got some upgrades coming to our e-permitting system that'll be launched in January. They go to our board in November. We are working hard to create new relationships. We've got an ad hoc committee we now have with our build members that we meet 2 to 3 times a year to discuss areas of mutual interest there, et cetera. And this, in my mind, is going to help us better able to adapt to the reality of changing workloads and priorities, but also in some ways to that roller coaster ride that we do find ourselves on when it comes to our development community right now, and to try and be responsible about what resources we're spending where, and to make sure that we are coming out at minimum as a neutral budget at the end of the fiscal year. Next slide, please. When you take a look at our programming here, we fundamentally have 3 pillars that most people know us for. This is the particular part of the program that we are well known for within our development community and within our municipal communities, and that this is our natural hazards land management program. And this is the idea here where, we work to make sure that flooding happens where flooding should happen, and it doesn't happen where it's not supposed to happen. And we're working really hard with our builders and our building community to create some innovative solutions. We've got a great example here that we have with the Napoleon site, where we are reconnecting the watershed to its floodplain. We are allowing it to flood when it naturally floods. And in going through there a few months ago in the beginning of the spring, we're already seeing picnic tables coming into the area from the Napoleon plant where people are enjoying it as a passive recreation area, which is wonderful to see as well. And that particular relationship has been really, really good and project with that Midhurst community downstream, because we've been able to do more work collaboratively to get the things that they want in that particular development, along with priorities that meet the needs of this community. Next slide, please. The Watershed Science Program, I've largely covered a lot of it already when we were speaking about it, because this is a blend of Category 1 and Category 3 work. And our big priority here is drinking water source protection, and it's also supporting health data that we use, but as well as we provide that data to member municipalities to help them with their decision-making, largely now with the change in responsibilities connected to the natural heritage features work that have been downloaded onto our municipalities to support. And while we have the knowledge and data to be able to help inform staff decisions and staff recommendations, that's a big role that we're starting to see ourselves evolving into with that particular program. And the last pillar here in the next slide here is our land management and stewardship program. And this is where we do provide this one-on-one stewardship work with our local landowners. We coordinate targeted forestry and river restoration initiatives. This is also where we have our conservation areas, as well as our education program, which is fully subscribed. And we are hoping to actually work on some creative ways to expand our Tiffin Center education program, as well as our offsite in the classroom type education programming. Next slide. Getting into the nitty-gritty of the details here, we are a service organization like many others, and about 82% of our budget is salary and employment costs. The reality of those costs, when you take a look at COLA, as well as increases to CPP, to our municipal pension plan, contributions, et cetera, works out to be just over 4% overall increase to those costs year over year. Which means in order to get to a 2.8% overall increase, we really did have to take a look at some creative ways to make sure that we were delivering the services we need to deliver and responsibly doing it. And I'm really, really proud of how we've come out at not only just a flat budget, but a slight reduction in overall. I know 9,000 plus doesn't sound great to an $8 million budget, but it was quite an achievement to be able to do that this year. The next slide here, and just wrapping up, this is just a division of shows you how our funding is split up. Our municipal funding is just over 50% of our total funding envelope for our operations budget, with the rest being supplemented through self-generated revenues, as well as the private grants and federal and provincial grants. And of course, we're doing a best guess right now with some of the federal and provincial granting awards, because fiscal years are different. So we're still waiting to hear on some of those grants awards and things like that happening right now. Next slide. So the final slide here is just the overall budget numbers look and of interest to the operating piece for the township and what we're looking for here. And it's a year over year operating levy increase of about $3,500. It doesn't include the asset levy piece, but this is the operating levy. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, Councillor Schnell, for your support and presence on our board. It's very welcome, and I can take any questions now.
Thank you very much, CIO Vincent and Chair Scott for the presentation. Very informative, and I'm really happy to see you taking the initiatives to address the concerns that we have posed in the past, rather than deflecting or not addressing them head on, because I think that's an important part of our partnership. And it's an important part that we all need to do collectively, of all municipalities that are partnered with you, in order to ensure the stewardship of our land.
Absolutely.
So I will open the floor for any members of council who would like to ask any questions. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you. Just want to echo the mayor in that I'm really pleased to see that this hard work has gone into really reviewing your budget, as you said, Chair Scott, line by line, which, these days we have to be extremely careful and our oversight of our different partners, and I appreciate the work that's gone in. I sit on the board of the SSCA, and I know that they've had the same ask, so it's not just you, and that they've done the same amount of hard work in trying to keep things reducing saying, looking at areas where they can reduce costs to the municipalities, but yet still maintain a level of partnership that we need. So thank you.
We undertook what the staff are now affectionately calling the challenge function, where each manager actually had to sit on the hot seat and defend their work program and their budget with their colleagues and with senior management committee. And it was very interesting outcomes in that we found collaborations across departments that they hadn't thought about, but we also found some really creative ways to get things cheaper too. So it was a productive effort for sure. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Is there any other Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yes, thank you very much for all this hard work. I'm sure it wasn't easy. We recognize that. Looking at the final slide here, is it fair to say that the operating levy for Oro-Medonte for 2025 was approximately 237 or 249 minus 12?
Yes, for comparative sake, I have kept them as equal as assuming the Category 1 and Category 3 combined, but you are correct.
Okay, and if we were to subscribe again to Category 2 and 3, then we would move from the 237 to
Yes.
the 267.
To the 267 for
or
your
in
operating
around
levy
the 30,000.
pieces, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, Councillor Schell?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few points and thoughts that I've jotted down here so I wouldn't forget. As the Oro-Medonte board member at NVCA, I've seen firsthand the transformation underway. There is a real cultural shift, and approvals are faster. The private sector is happier. Other mayors and councils are noticing the change. These are good changes. This budget is leaner, more efficient, and protects our taxpayers. It also does exactly what we on this Township Council asked them to do. They reviewed and significantly reduced Category 3 charges like we asked. That's very good. We've actually collected Category 3 funding. We've charged our taxpayers, but then put it in a reserve rather than transferring that funding to the NVCA. I've attended local events that are Category 3 programs. NVC has still delivered for us, even though we never transferred the money we collected for them. So I think this budget, we should rectify that and fund NVCA so they can keep delivering these services for our residents and businesses. I don't want to see a situation where our township gets less than other municipalities because of a decision our council makes. They are delivering a $7.8 million budget with expenses going up barely a few $1,000s. That really shows the due diligence that was done to make this budget as efficient as possible. So all in all, this is a leaner, more efficient budget, and I believe we should support it in the entirety and recognize that NVCA is doing what we asked them to do, and we should support that positive change.
Thank you. Did you have a question? I just was wondering if there was a question there or not. I know it was just a kind of a statement.
No, there was no question. It was just a comment.
Okay.
Thanks.
Just through the mayor, just one extra little bit there. I didn't put it in my speaking points for this, but we are down to 17-day turnaround on most permits now.
Okay, perfect.
So we have done some really, really hard work on that one.
I appreciate that. That's fantastic. Quick question though. I just in this, how there's been suggestion that Little Lake and the tributaries flowing into it that I fall under the NVCA will be built part of a conservancy by Barrie. So how does that affect the protections of those lands, and how does it affect potentially budgetary changes? Because does a conservancy execute anything other than, I'm trying to figure, is it just a duplication of what you have already established, or is this something incremental?
The Land Conservancy that they're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, so my director of lands is here just because we kind of wondered if some of this was going to come up, and she's far more in the weeds with this to be able to explain it. So I'll just bring up Kyra.
Thank you. And Kyra, just announce your name just for the record, please.
Yes, thank you.
And adjust the mic so you don't have to stand on your tippy toes for the whole.
Thank you. If I may, Mayor Greenlaw. So From my understanding right now, so this doesn't involve NVCA, but my previous career was actually working with a land trust, so I do have some familiarity. Just depending on how the city, if they were to transfer any ownership or any conservation easement, it's completely up to the owners. So there's a couple of different options that they could look into. From my understanding, there is discussion about a conservation easement, so that means that the property would still be owned by the town, and then there would be conservation restrictions put in place. If they were to transfer ownership to a conservancy agency, such as NVCA or a land trust, then it would technically become private property. And then with whatever restrictions a private property owner would have in place for that. So we haven't been in any discussions, but that's just from my historic background.
Okay, so while you're there, just because, so the city of Barrie has not reached out to you about this conservancy to have any, and I'm asking, is there a duplication of what the two perform?
Nope, no
Okay.
duplication.
Okay, so the purpose of a conservancy what's the incremental value of the conservancy?
We work very closely with the conservancies. So a conservancy is a land trust.
Yeah.
So their entire mandate is to preserve land for future generations. I can't speak on behalf of either a land trust or the city of Barrie, but the long-term vision, I would imagine, would be for the natural protection of the area, and then whatever they negotiate in between would be up to whoever they decide to partner with.
Okay, I'm asking just, and because the bottom line all comes back to, does it change the budget, which I'm taking, there is no change to the budget, but so does the conservancy provide further or broader protection than what the NBC puts within their own policies?
That, you know what, that's a really loaded question.
Sorry.
So would a conservancy provide longer term protection? Well, it really depends on the partnership development. There's lots of layers. It depends if they go through a federal program for any donations. It depends if it's conservation easement agreement or if it's a land donation. I think the intention for the long term, if it's owned by a land trust, is the natural protection of it. Yeah. Yep.
So, Mr. Mayor, I think I agree with where you're going, and I would just say it's a different way of doing the same thing that we do, that LSRCA does with a conservation area, through a different legal mechanism.
Okay.
So is there an incremental increase in benefit? No, but I also wouldn't say it's duplicative, because it's essentially a 6 of one, half a dozen of another way of doing things legally.
Okay, no, perfect. Thank you very much. That brings clarity for what I'm trying to figure out, because I hear something, I read in the paper something, and I'm going, okay, but I'm all for that if there's extra value protection and stewardship responsibility being implemented as an end result. So
and often, in all honesty, depending on the land ownership, it is like when Ducks Unlimited owns the property, you do tend to expect that there's going to be an increase potentially in the stewardship value of those properties and the natural heritage values of those properties. The Bruce Trail Conservancy, a lot of that Bruce Trail work is owned through land trusts and conservation trusts. Niagara Escarpment's got another one with a large reputation for that, and they have that expectation of increased value from a natural heritage standpoint, absolutely. And Kyra's team is in somewhat regular contact with those organizations too, as to how our natural hazard lands protections work kind of feed in and complement to kind of create a bit more of that natural heritage system and natural hazards protection systems.
no, thank you very much. And I want to thank you guys also, not just for coming here, but the great work you've done with the Schroeder family in that flood area, and how you've built the tree planting programs and all those things in it. And I also commend the Schroeder family for being very respectful and responsible of the stewardship responsibilities we all should take.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
And
thank you.
if I may, thank you, and thank you for the kind words and the acknowledgement of the work we've been doing. I understand you're having further budget deliberations, and Director Howes is going to be here representing the NVCA for those conversations if you need more information. So our CAO is taking a well-deserved vacation that week, but thank you for letting us come today.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, sorry, Deputy Mayor may have a follow-up here, so you can't exit the chamber just yet. We only see you once a year, which, like, in chambers.
Please invite us back anytime you want. No problems there.
We're in extra innings. No, the question is actually for our CFO.
Oh, all right.
So
I'm
you're completely off the hook. Ms. Johnson, I just wanted to clarify the statement made earlier. Would it be the case that we would collect a tax levy for something that we didn't budget for? So in this case, we didn't budget for category 2 and 3 services. Would we have collected those through our tax levy?
Through you, Mayor, to Deputy Mayor, no, we would not have collected those taxes. What we do collect is the total amount of the operating expenses and capital reserve contributions that are allocated in the budget, and that is the total amount of the township's budget that is then put on the tax levy.
Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Thank you. Thank you once again. I really appreciate the presentation and thoroughness that you've taken. Madam Clerk, can we have a motion to receive the presentation from the MVCA, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the presentation by Jennifer Vincent, CAO, and Jonathan Scott, Chair, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, NVCA 2026 Budget Business Plan, and Budget Township of Oro-Medonte be received and referred to the 2026 budget deliberations.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. Thank you very much. So we're now on to 8B, deputation by Michael Ratch. Mr. Ratch, if you'd like to come to the podium, just state your name for the public record and proceed when ready, sir.
Michael Ratch, thank you, Council and Chair, for this opportunity. I think you've read my deposition, so I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. But in the last 4 years, I've been trying very hard to repay this balance, and only working limited because of my hands, and now recently I'm awaiting a disability because I can no longer work anymore, and I have acquired a loan, but it's not quite enough to pay my full tax bill. It's very close, but not full. I have paid a lot so far in the last 4 years, basically sacrificing everything I have just to try to make amends. And this is a huge burden on my shoulders. And I'm, praying that you go against policies to allow me some grace so that I can, get this burden off my shoulders and put some money in your pockets. And that's about, I don't have anything written in the speech now. It's kind of where I'm at, and, the ball is in your court.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ratch. Is there any questions from members of council at this time? Totally understand, empathetic. We will definitely come back with an answer, but we need to go back and talk to staff, and we truly do wish you the very best, and hopefully we'll see if there is any leniency that we can execute.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I've got a private lender, but it's very close to the figure.
Yeah.
But not quite there.
Okay.
Okay. And I know there's a lot of room.
Yeah.
There's my bill is double what I should have been paying, so
Okay.
there is some grace, I hope.
Okay. We'll definitely take it under consideration. Thank you. And I know this is very difficult to come before council on matters like this, but I do thank you for taking the time to come here and speak, and
Yeah.
we will definitely see everything that we can do. Okay?
Okay. Should I hang around, or
No, it won't be voted on today, but CAO Benz, did you want to comment on this, please?
So procedurally, your worship, members of council, we will come back at the next meeting of council, and I can follow up with Mr. Ryan.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for your time.
All the best. Sorry, Councillor Shell.
Yes, sorry, Mayor, through you. Do you have to make a, does this person have to make a formal written application, or has that already been done? Request?
There's already been a submission in the minutes of his request. It's in the closed session comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could we have a motion to receive Mr. Ratt's communication, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the deputation by Michael Rash request for a reduction or waiver of interest and penalties incurred with regards to outstanding tax balance be received. That procedural bylaw number 2023-043, section 14.80 be waived, and that further, that the information provided be considered at a future meeting of council.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? I see none. That is carried. Identification of any agenda items that would like to be moved forward on the agenda of interest due to people not being around for the entire. Are there any? Seeing none, I will move to open forum. Madam Clerk, I believe there's nobody registered to speak at open forum at this point.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, is there anybody in chamber who would like to speak to any matters on the agenda today? Seeing none, then we'll move on to reports of municipal officers for action, which there are none. Reports of municipal officers for information only. Members of council, are there any, of the three reports, is there any questions in regards to any of the three reports under item 12A, B, and C? Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. More of just a comment than a question with regard to Report 12A and the Zone 1 integration project update. Thank you to Ms. Jacoby and her team. All reports are everything has gone extremely smoothly with the first integration in the Cathedral Pines area with absolutely no problems at all with the system. And I have received a number of email communications from the community saying thank you. They're very pleased to now know that they're integrated with the township system and looking forward to I would just say, you know, the smoothing of service quality in their area. So thank you to Michelle and her team, and I look forward to the next update.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutchison. Yes, that's been a long and windy road, so I'm glad it is moving forward and we're making rapid progress now. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yes, I didn't have any questions, but I did have a comment on item 12C, which was the land facilitation for the boundary expansion of Barrie. And it's just a general note to staff and to public and to council members. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to attend many of the meetings recently due to some post-surgery conditions. However, I did want to say that I have been keeping a close eye on matters, as it were, and I definitely want to congratulate everybody for the level of professionalism, the level of respect, and the level of involvement. Very, very professional from everybody, in particular those who came here to speak last week from the public. They were very engaging. They came up with a lot of the ideas that have been contemplated at the table in closed sessions, but excellent work on behalf of everyone, and thank you very much for that. Reflects well on Oro-Medonte.
Yes, no, I think we all echo that comment. We were very, very pleased with the professionalism, respect that everyone that attended the meeting, the public meeting, how they conducted themselves, and it is a reflection on this municipality and how we are working towards a solution that's in the betterment of everybody, not just Oro-Medonte, but we're looking for a solution that's in the betterment of everybody. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are one of four parties in this discussion, and sometimes feel more like the tail of the dog, so we get wagged around and aren't necessarily in control of the final outcome. So if there's nothing else in regards to that, may we have a motion to receive the 3 items, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the reports as listed under item number 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, be received.
All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried, Madam Clerk. Reports and announcements of members of council. Are there any reports from county, our partners, or announcements that council members would like to make at this time? Councillor Bard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, the Aurelia Public Library is having a membership drive, and they're going to be at the Aurelia Fairgrounds Farmers Market on Saturday looking for new members, and some interesting events coming up. So PA Day on Friday, so they're having a Hotel Transylvania drop-in program for school-aged kids, and they're also having a family boo bash in celebration of Halloween, 2 of them, Thursday, October 30th from 5:30 to 7, and Friday, October 31st from 10 to 11:30. And they're also having a board game swap on Saturday, November the 8th. So some interesting, a variety of events at the library if people are interested.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bard. Councillor Young.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to announce again, the OPP are holding an open house at the arena on the 4th line on Highway 11. That's October 28th. It's from 6:30 in the evening till 8 o'clock. So it's an opportunity for everybody, members of the public, to ask the OPP directly any questions that you want to, and get your answers, whether it's speeding or any other complaint that is pretty common up in Oro-Medonte or other places throughout Oro-Medonte. So that's October 28th. I believe it's a Tuesday night, and from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So see you there.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, just with respect to the county council, I'm pleased to announce or convey rather that the county council did approve the speed limit reduction and community safety zone in the area of Line 4 and Horseshoe Heights Public School. There was quite a bit actually communication from the members of Trillium Trail community there with regard to moving the speed reduction easterly past Trillium Trail. Unfortunately, we didn't get that far, but nonetheless, we do have a speed reduction in that area. The other thing I'd like to draw the public's attention to is the report on the paramedic services with regard to their response times for the different categories of calls, which is quite remarkable. And our paramedic services are doing well in terms of responding both to the urban centers and to the rural and suburban centers. So for those who are interested, please refer to that report.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, to everybody here and the public. This reports from the Aurelia Lake Country Physicians Recruitment. Just a few things to bring up off this 2-page report. The recruitment events on behalf of Central Ontario Physician Recruitment Allowance, it's COPRA. Aurelia Lake Country was represented at the McMaster University Family Medicine Residents Recruitment Event. They engaged approximately 50 residents, collecting contact information for 30. Most residents indicated intent to remain in Southern Ontario, though several expressed interest in locum opportunities further north, including one with family ties to Muskoka. The majority preferred hospital-based roles, hospitalists, emergency anesthesia over comprehensive family practices. Residents were PG Year 1 and PG Year 2 residents graduating in 2026 and 2027, allowing for early relationship development. Upcoming physician visits and candidate engagements. We have, for October, we have family physician obstetrics focus, family physician locum support, family and academic physician dual U.S. Canadian citizenship, currently based in Virginia, looking to reestablish or relocate, emergency physician from Connecticut, and a UK general practitioner visiting in late October to explore practice opportunities and licensing pathways. And just on a final note, City of Aurelia funding update. Key outcomes: 2 family physicians recruited under return of service agreements, 28.6 locum days supported, benefiting 11 physicians, $9,900 distributed to international medical student support and preceptor appreciation, $21,600 earmarked for mentorship support, and $100,000 utilized for clinic overhead support. That's that for now.
Thank you very much, Councillor Schell. Councillor Hutchison.
Everybody's got lots going on. Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Just a few things. SSEA, I actually had the pleasure of being invited to go out and join a couple of the scientists for some water testing last week. So spent half a day on the waters of Georgian Bay, learning how to test water health, and it was really great to get that hands-on experience and a greater appreciation of the work that's being done by the SSEA. I want to say thank you to the Ward 1 residents who did take the time to contact the county regarding their concerns on the speed limit and the traffic around that intersection that Deputy Mayor Lavoie spoke of, and that the successful result was in the reduction of the speed to 60 and the designation of the zone as community safety zone. And that's really due in part, a big part, to the community members who took it upon themselves to contact the county. And I just also wanted to say thank you to staff and the community as well. The new entrance to the Sugar Bush has been opened this week, and this has been a long time coming. And again, you know, it was sort of a very big project for the township, but again, it was one where residents were very involved in voicing, you know, their concern around the safety of the previous entrance, and to see this actually finished. And I drove it yesterday, and it's significantly different than the previous exit entrance. And I've again gotten a number of notes from community members saying how happy they are now that that is in place and how much safer they feel. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutchison. And one thing I do want to add on to that is that second entrance was something that I know past Councillor Ian Beach spent a tremendous amount of time when everyone else thought it was over and done, because county would not entertain putting in a secondary entrance, and he went back to the developers and pushed very hard. So that, you know, there's something that I want people to remember. Sometimes when you go back the 6th or 7th time, it does pay off. So I would thank Councillor Beach for that, as now we will have a much safer entrance and exit from that residential community. Anyone else at this time? I guess the only other thing I'll add to I know county received a lot of comments, as the deputy mayor related to, about the entrance of Trillium Trail. You know, I know the roundabouts are still a few years away before they will be in place, but we will continue to push on county to do some traffic analysis in that area to see the speeds approaching that, and see, and if hopefully we can make an exception to the existing policy where we could hopefully move the 80-kilometer sign to the other side of the entrance. But it, you know, I know at this point the answer is no because of the policies in place, but we will continue to ask them to analyze that, to collect data, and hopefully we can get a resolution much sooner than when the roundabouts come. Okay, so If there's no other comments at this time, we'll now move on to the consent agenda. Is there any items that you would like pulled for consideration of the staff recommendation or significant discussion? Councillor Schell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Item 14A, can we have an indication of what tax percentage increase this cost is going to be to the taxpayers?
Yep, sure. I'll pass that on to CAO Benz.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I think as all the council is aware, the OPP billing model is extremely complex. It takes into account the township's experience and sometimes 2-year averaging, sometimes 3-year averaging, depending the classification. So at this point, we can't say. We do have to await the actual billing statement from the OPP that will identify that. What I can say is that the 2025 and draft 2026 budget approved by council this year, Ms. Johnson, I believe, had a 5% increase over the 2025 numbers. So I think roughly we're probably anticipating a 300,000, give or take, percent increase based off of that 5% assumption. So that translates into about a 1% increase just to deal with that. There is there was a memo from Ms. Johnson on the budget process. Those are all of those external factors that we're currently assessing and looking to bring back before council as part of the recalibration exercise. But I would say roughly a 1%, 300,000, give or take, would be an order of magnitude as a starting point.
Thank you.
Okay. There's no other matters in the consent agenda. Therefore, Madam Clerk, we have a motion to receive the consent agenda, please.
Moved by Shell, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the staff recommendations with respect to the items listed under consent agenda correspondence be adopted as printed.
All in favor? That is carried. We have no communication petitions this week. We have no notice of motions. So we're now at 17 bylaws. Ms. Johnson, can you please provide a summary of comments in regarding this matter, please?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
No, my apologies.
Most definitely. I will do that for sure. The bylaw that's before you relates to the funding strategy for the 25 to 29 capital plan. It was specifically in the 25-26 budget to fund bridge and drainage projects over that 5-year period in the capital plan. We've identified a $6.5 million debenture to support this work, and it's going to cover the funding of $4 million in bridge projects, $1.9 million in drainage improvements, and $516,000 in road work. We've built this 10-year debt payment plan into the budget, and so that will ensure that all the annual levy dollars are inputted into the operating budget each year. So it just helps us, this approach just helps us smooth out that funding strategy and the pressure on our capital reserves. So we're just looking for this debenture to be approved by council based on the budget funding approach through Infrastructure Ontario.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Council, is there any questions in regards to this matter? Councillor Schell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. To bring me into the context for the debenture discussion, I have 2 questions. But first, I'd like to place this debenture in context. There's no question that we need these capital projects. We also face a large and ongoing infrastructure deficit, which means similar costs will continue each year. So councils have been adding at least 1% to the tax bills each year because of this. So this $6.5 million debenture will result in over $1.3 million interest payments, money going to a third party not back into our community. We need to look at this in the overall financial context of where we are at this time. We're already dealing with an 11% increase in policing costs, which would have gone higher if not capped. To help fund the new fire halls, the plan was to sell 3 older ones, but council elected to sell only 2, leaving Shandy Bay unsold and repurposed. The result is roughly a $1 million impact to taxpayers through unrealized revenue and reconditioning costs.
Councillor Schell, I guess what I'm asking is, okay.
I thought I had the floor.
I'm chairing the meeting. Okay.
Do I not have the floor?
I'm asking you, I'm saying, can you stick to this? You've been a part of all the decisions of what decisions have been made from other fire halls and what we've disposed of and which ones we remained to be repurposed. I think what the question is this is about the 6.5 that we're asking for in a debenture. So if you have questions pertaining to that, then please stick to what the item is that's before us, please.
Okay. Alrighty, so my questions are, the township has money in reserves. While each reserve is earmarked for special purposes, this is still taxpayers' money. Could we not borrow internally from reserves and repay them, adding the interest money into the taxpayers' funds instead of paying $1.3 million interest externally?
CAO Benz.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. If I could just maybe try to bring us back to what is before council. So the debenture is based on the approved budget from council. I will say that, Councillor Schell, you are correct with reserves. And as we outlined in the 25 and 26 capital budget, we don't have the funding in reserves, which is why we are looking to debenture. As Ms. Johnson had outlined, those debenture payments are built into the township's long-term financial plan. As council will also recall from the budget presentation, we've debentured bridges. That has been our long-term funding strategy for bridges. And you'll recall through the budget presentation that those debenture costs were coming out of the money that was earmarked to go to reserves. So what council did in approving the 2025 budget and draft 2026 budget is redirect money to reserves so that we had sufficient reserves that we don't need to rely on debentures. The township has a very healthy debt limit, as Ms. Johnson highlighted. And looking at the capital projects, certainly we went through that scrutiny and went through that with council. So this is really, the 26 projects will be subject to council's approval and recalibration. As Ms. Johnson outlined, these are critical infrastructure projects, and the funding strategy has been endorsed previously by council. This is a formal requirement of the provincial debenture program to have a resolution of council, and that's what's before council today.
So you're telling us that we do not have the reserves, so we have to borrow?
We do have reserves. What we outlined in the budget presentation is that our reserves are not sufficient to deal with the infrastructure deficit that exists in our asset management plan. And this is not an issue that is specific to Oro-Medonte. This is an issue with every municipality across the province. So when we do look at critical infrastructure, it does make sense to debenture. It also makes good sense to put as much money as we can into reserves to get us to that equilibrium where we can fund our asset renewal with our own funds and not have to debenture and pay interest as you've outlined.
Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I just add to
Please do.
CAO Bin's comment? So just for clarification as well, in past years, the municipality has kept the tax rate low. And And this has limited our ability to grow reserves in line with the long-term infrastructure needs that CAO Bins mentioned that we presented to council in 25-26 asset management plan. It was this year during this 25-26 budget that it marks the first time we've done a full reserve analysis to better align our asset management planning with projected capital requirements. So that's what we were mentioning, is that we've done a long-term strategy and a plan to see how we can continue to maintain reserves sufficiently so that we can replace the infrastructure as required each year.
Thank you very much for that clarity, Ms. Johnson. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. And I just want to clarify this a bit more for the public, because we've had these discussions on more than one occasion before today, Councillor Schell, and lots of discussions around reserves and the fact that we do not have sufficient reserves. And it is a result of not overspending, but it is a result of not collecting enough tax levy over a number of years that has put us into this position. And so therefore, going forward, the tax levy has to be adjusted to address this need for greater reserves as we go forward, particularly with the asset replacement fund. So I think I've got that encapsulated, but just so that we're very clear on this, because I know there's been some ideas floated out into the community about overspending by this council, and that is absolutely not the case. Thank you.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes, Councillor Hutchison, that's exactly correct. In previous years, the tax rate was kept low and there was no deep analysis done as to the asset management plan and the replacement of infrastructure and those reserves to fund that replacement. So it has definitely not been due to any operations or other items, but the fact that there just hasn't been that lens put on asset management and reserves as it has this budget year, 25-26 budget.
Thank you very much. And I commend on what we're doing. We're doing what needs to be done to best position us now and for the future down the road. And deferring budget increases that are necessary down the road will just make them that much grander and painful upon when we're not here to play catch up. We're here to keep ourselves aligned with what needs to be done at the time as we move forward. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, I think it's also worth pointing out that the province did legislate asset management programs, so that's not so much of a circumstance that could exist in previous years where municipal governments could arbitrarily or under their own discretion decide not to fund bridges and other necessary critical infrastructure and, you know, defer the tax levy increases. But we're up against that issue now, and whether we want to acknowledge it or we want to pass it on to the next council, I don't think it wouldn't be my desire to pass anything on to the next council that we are legitimately and fiduciarily responsible for. So I'm very much in favor of passing this debenture and continuing with the 3% increase of funding to our asset management program, as we discussed earlier, and that we have committed to. So these pieces all fit together to formulate a responsible financial management. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Okay, any other questions? If there are none, I'll call the vote. Oh, sorry, did you have a question, Councillor Young?
No, just a comment. I mean, listen to everybody explain the finances of the township here. It's certainly, and Councillor Hutchison here, and like I said, staff. It certainly instills a confidence in myself, and I think every other member of this council, that the money's being well taken care of, the tax money, and I think that people listening to this today, it simplifies what has been explained here. And again, I've mentioned it once before, but certainly I think that the public have the confidence as well as that their tax money is being well taken care of. So
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Councillor Young and rest of council. I do want to thank you for your support. This year has definitely been a good turning point for the finance department and the finances, and I can happy to say that we've come in line with where our finances are to be in our system, and so we're confident in the strategies and the roll forward that council has put forward to us in order to ensure that we have our finances on track. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Johnson, for all the work you've done. This has been a above normal work year for you and your team. And I also want to thank, actually I know you've worked very closely with CEO Binns to ensure that we get to where we need to as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. So if there's no other questions, I will, Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I would like to have a recorded vote on this because my vote will be no.
Okay.
If what you say that we have the funds and we have the in our reserves, I would say we need to borrow from them rather than go for a debenture.
Ms. Johnson, you want to give clarity about robbing Peter to pay Paul within the budget strategy? I don't think that's really something we're...
So in the capital program for the 25-26 program, there was a 3-year additional forecast period, 27 to 28 and 29 years. And in that program, we showed sources of funding of how the capital program would be funded. $6.5 million, which is this debenture, was outlined in that program in the budget to show that that is how mostly the bridges and drainage and road work would be funded over 5 years. The reason for this is in order to keep the smoothing of the tax levy payments over the 10 years, so that we did not withdraw or decrease our reserves rapidly. So we're just trying to manage a strategic approach where it's just it's a responsible tax rate increase each year. The debt levy payments, which are built into the tax rate, have already been included, and you see the amortization schedule. They've already been included in the 25 and the 26 budgets, and they will be included in the 27 over the next 7 years after, or 8 years after. So that's the only reason we've tried to smooth that funding and that cash flow of reserves so that we're maintaining it in our investments. We're actually making more investment and interest income on that money that we're sitting in our one investments that we are paying out for this debenture. So we're actually a surplus. We're actually receiving a surplus in interest income by going through with this debenture. So by keeping the money in our investments while not draining it from our reserves all at one time, we have it sitting in investments and making interest income.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. And as I've said to council members at all times, like if you have concerns as to the recommendations staffs are bringing forward to any matter, you know what? The staff has been very, very, very receptive. Their door is always open. If you have questions of concern and don't understand, definitely go there before the meeting. Not to say that we, you know, the question is not posed in the meeting, because we're all about transparency. But if you feel the staff are not giving the proper recommendation, it's always important to reach out to them prior to the meeting, and so that we all have the best clarity when we sit at this table to make a decision. So, Madam Clerk, could we have the motion on this matter, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-084, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the Township of Oro-Medonte to authorize long-term borrowing pursuant to the issue of debentures to Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation, OILC, in the principal amount of $6,500,000 towards the cost of capital works, be passed in open council on the 22nd day of October 2025.
And I believe Councillor Schell has asked for a recorded vote.
Councillor Schell, do you do you wish to continue with your recorded vote request?
Yes.
Okay. Recorded vote requested by Councillor Shell. Councillor Shell.
Nay.
Councillor Young. Councillor Bard.
Yay.
Councillor Hutchison.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
In favor?
Mayor Greenlaw.
I'm in favor as well, please.
Motion is carried.
Okay. Okay, so we're now at item 18, closed session. So Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to go into close, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 4:11 p.m. to discuss litigation affecting the municipality, short-term rentals, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, intermunicipal relationships, City of Barrie, solicitor-client privilege, litigation affecting the municipality, West Half, Lot 11, Concession 8.
Everyone's heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried, Madam Clerk, and we'll see everybody in closed.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Yep. Could someone just open the door of the chamber so that we've met the rules? Okay. Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to rise and report out, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 5:32 p.m. and report on closed session items 18B, C, and D.
Call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for item 18B, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence presented by Sean Binns, CAO, Brent Spagnell, Director, Development Services, and George Valbancourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, and Legal Counsel, litigation affecting the municipality, short-term rentals, be received, and that staff and legal counsel proceed as directed by council.
Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for item D?
C.
C, please. Sorry.
Moved by
jumped.
Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence presented by Sean Binns, CAO, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, intermunicipal relationships, City of Barrie, be received. That staff proceed as directed by council.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. And may we have a motion for item 18D, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence presented by Sean Binns, CAO, solicitor client privilege, litigation affecting the municipality, West Half, Law 11, Concession 8, be received. That staff and legal counsel proceed as directed by council.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a draft motion for the confirmation bylaw, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-104, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, be passed in open council on the 22nd day of October 2025.
All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. And may we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 5:34 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great week and a great weekend.